In today's video, I'm going to be going over how my motorhome is much smarter than yours. Yes, you heard that right. My motorhome is much smarter than yours. Let's crack on, shall we? So what I'm going to go through today is how I've made my motorhome smarter with automations. The reason I've done this is for a few reasons, but ultimately, which most people will jump on, and I know Tash will, she will. It's laziness, but it's not just that, it's flexibility, which I'll go into. Now, there is quite a few things I've done, but this is a ever-changing thing. So always trying to update and always trying to think of new ways to make the motorhome more, well, smarter and more accessible, and make it so it can do things when I'm away from the motorhome, and just be as efficient as it can be. Some of you are probably thinking, okay, what do you mean by smarter and more efficient? Well, I'm talking about being able to control the motorhome while I'm away from it. So if I'm out and about for a day and there's lots of solar coming in, I want to be able to control most things in the motorhome to make use of that solar whilst we have it. And you guys know, once your batteries are full, there's nothing more they can do. They're dead, they're useless. Okay, I know they're storing power, but there's no more they can do. You know, once they are at 100%, they're at 100%. So you might as well try and dump some of that power off to be able to use it to then top them back up throughout the rest of the day. And the main thing that all this runs on is Wi-Fi. So you need to have Wi-Fi in the van while you're away from it. Once you've got that, then other things can follow on, which, like my Cerbo, I've got a Victron Cerbo, which then means I can turn my inverter on and off away from the van via the Wi-Fi connection. So Wi-Fi is very, very, very important with this. And to be fair, a lot of it does fall on its knees when Wi-Fi goes down. I have got a whole video coming up about my internet and how I have internet on the road with multiple different connections, various different SIM cards and Starlink, all through my router. So that video will be coming out soon. We're not going to be going into all that, but you do need Wi-Fi to make this work. On a side note, who hasn't got Wi-Fi in their motorhome? Come on, it's 2026. Welcome to the party. With disclaimers all covered, let's crack on with the first one, shall we? And it is smart plugs. Now, this is the smart plug I've gone with. It's from a company called Meross. None of this is sponsored. I buy these from Amazon myself. I've got multiple of them dotted around the motorhome. I do need some more, to be fair, but yeah, these are just normal UK plugs. You plug them in, but they have Wi-Fi, and they also have power consumption trackers, so you can see how much power is being used and consumed from whatever appliance you plug into this. Now, like I say, this is a UK plug. It's not 12 volt. These are for powering big items. I use these for all different devices around my motorhome, and if you have a look on here, I've got them all on my app. This is the Meross app, and you can add pictures and symbols to all your devices. Now, you can see behind me, I've got one just here. This is for my normal fan, like household fan. Now, I can just click on this app, which I'll show you now. Ready? And the fan's on. How good's that? Now I can be, let me turn that off. Now I can be anywhere in the world, as long as there's an internet connection, like on my phone, and there's a Wi-Fi connection in the motorhome, and I can turn that fan on wherever I want. I can also say, Alexa, turn the fan on. Okay. And that happens because all these plugs are Alexa controllable. So whatever you call them, you can turn them on and off from your phone and from Alexa, which is brilliant, right? Alexa, fan off. Okay. Again, some people might say lazy, I say efficient, because all this boils into a big system. Being able to turn a fan on, is it useful? Well, not until you got it all connected together, which I'll show you now. Under this seat where my big inverter is, I have got this cable which runs down, ooh, nearly fell over. This cable runs down under the seat, and it's got, it's like an extension cable, and it's got two plugs in it, both with smart plugs. That there, if you can see it, that there is my EcoFlow. These are testing units at the moment. That there's my EcoFlow. When I'm out and about for the day, here, there and everywhere, and we've got great solar, I want to be able to then top up my EcoFlow, because I always want that full for backups reasons. That makes sense, right? So if I'm out and about and my batteries are now full, because I can check how full my batteries are from the Victron app on my phone because of Wi-Fi, I can now switch on the smart plug. As long as the inverter's on, which I can switch on from my phone, I can then switch on the smart plug, which will then tell the which will then start charging the EcoFlow. Now, obviously, I don't want to drain my HAB batteries to the max and forget that I've turned it on. So you can have rules in this in Meross. You can have rules, so you can have automations and routines. So if I turn I can put a rule on, so it only charges for 40 minutes. So once I click EcoFlow on to charge, it'll only stay on for 40 minutes and then it'll automatically turn itself off. So I'm not going to fully deplete my batteries if I accidentally forgot it off and the EcoFlow is empty. I'm not going to do that and come back to like a 10% HAB and a full EcoFlow, because that wouldn't be wise, would it? I can use it at the height of the day, say 12 o'clock in the daytime in summer, and my batteries are almost full. I can go, right, I'll turn the EcoFlow on. It's at 80%. I want to get it up to 100. That'll blast it for 40 minutes, and I can determine how long I want to do this, and then that will nicely top up for 40 minutes, which will then pull power out of my system. But because it's a beautiful sunshining day, then that's a song in it, sunshining day, my solar and my MPPT will work harder to try and get as much solar in as possible, topping up the HAB, which then ultimately I'm topped up in the HAB and I'm topped up on my EcoFlow. That's brilliant, right? Now, I got a Bluetti under the sofa here, which I've done a video on a long time ago, but I kept it because I can use it for just my work stuff. So that is there just to run my MacBook, my cameras, my phone, my tablet. So I don't, because I'm charging them constantly, I want my HAB batteries to be able to run the motorhome. Now, my motorhome could run them, it's just I have the luxury to have that item. But again, that is attached to a smart plug, so I can charge the Bluetti or the EcoFlow at any point from anywhere in the world, whenever, as long as I have a Wi-Fi connection. One of the latest uses of the smart plugs, which I am so happy about and I think it's genius, is making my fridge smart. This is game changer, this really is. Now, this is an old Dometic fridge. I've had a few ups and downs with it, but so far, touch wood, it's still running and it's all good. But it has got the auto function. If it's on auto, you're driving along, it'll flick onto 12 volt. If you stop and you plug in, it'll flick onto 230 volt. And then if 230 volt isn't there and you're not driving, then it'll flick over to gas and it'll use the gas. Again, I wanna make maximum use from my solar. So if my EcoFlow is fully charged, for instance, and my batteries are almost charged, and it's a nice sunshine day, then I want to be able to use my fridge for a couple of hours on 230, right? Because then I'm saving gas, I'm using my system to its full capabilities. But you can't access the fridge with, an app or anything because they're not smart. Well, it is now because I have my fridge on a smart plug, which John recently did. This is a German van. It had a European plug on the end of it, so he cut that off, put a UK plug on it. We've put the actual socket is still the same. It's still the 2-pin European socket. So I put an adapter in there, and then we put the smart plug in there, and now that is attached to, it's a Meross smart one, so it's now attached to my app. And as you can see down there, my fridge is now running because I'm currently on a site and I'm on hookup. It's currently running on 230, but I can quite easily switch it off, and then it takes a couple of minutes, but it will flick over to gas, which is brilliant, right? You can see there, we're currently on auto and we're on 230 volt. Now, let me just bring you into shot so you can see both. I'm gonna flick the fridge off. So the smart plug is gonna be turned off, and you'll see how quick it reacts. It reacts a lot quicker the other way when you turn it on instantly. Because it's still getting some power, it still thinks it's on that, and I'm not opening it and closing it. So I'll film myself turning it on with 230, and we'll see when it switches to gas automatically. There we go, it's now realised it hasn't got that. So now it should flick over to gas. There we go. We are on gas. Now the fridge is running on gas, all because I just switched off my smart plug. And I could have done that anywhere in the world. I could do that as long as I got internet connection either end. I can do that. Now if I quickly do it the opposite way and I turn, so let's just say I'm out for the day right now. Where are we? Where am I? I'm probably looking around a nice cathedral. Right, now we're going to turn the fridge back on, because let's say we're almost full and I want to charge. Now obviously I would be doing this on my inverter if I'm out in the wild and I'm not on a campsite. So here we go. So you can see there, ready, turn the plug on, the gas instantly comes off, and then it will switch to 230 volt. There we go. Now that was pretty instant, which is great. I love being able to control this, and this is going to be fantastic through this summer, being able to make the most out of my solar. Again, I won't put it on like an indefinite, like turn it on and it stays on. I will probably do 2-3 hours. I can turn it on at like 1 o'clock or something, and then I don't have to remember. It'll be on for an hour, and I've saved some gas and I've made use of the solar and the sunshine. Now you're probably thinking, yeah, but what happens if something goes wrong? That's all your food, Dads. It's your chicken wings, it's your bacon, it's your cheese. Don't worry, I had to make sure there was fail safes, because we don't want the bacon and wings or cheese being put at risk, do we? The first fail safe I've got is this camera. Now this camera is fully movable, so I can control it and move it around from the Blink app. So I can see the bedroom, I can see anything in the motorhome. So if I forgot something, I don't know what I've done, if I've left something here, I've used it a few times for that. But because it's here, I can zoom in on the fridge and I can see the lights, so I can see what mode it's on. So if for instance it was all red, I can then go, oh no, my fridge is red, it means it's off, something's gone wrong. So then I can, you know, fix that. Now this is the second fail safe, this bad boy. So I've got one here and I've got one in the fridge just here. Now they are SwitchBot temperature sensors, and I've got them dotted around the entire motorhome. Now they are set to certain temperatures, which you can see all on the app right there. So I've got lots of these dotted around the motorhome, so you can see that the fridge is at -15, the freezer's at -15, and the fridge is at 3 degrees. Now these have got alerts on them, so if they drop to a certain temperature, it will ping my phone and tell me that the freezer is now getting warm. So if my freezer gets to about -7, then it will ping me. So it's still frozen, everything's still good, but it will tell me. Now if my fridge gets to 5 degrees, I think it's 4.5, 5 degrees, again it will tell me, it'll ping my phone and let me know, so then I know there's a problem. I can then come back to the motorhome or figure out a solution and see what the problem is. But they are 2 fail safes for me to try and protect the wings and bacon at all costs. I have got lots and lots of temperature sensors around here, and I've got 2 more that I actually want to install. So I've got one in the living room, which is just up there. I have got one in the bathroom and the toilet, which is just there. I've then got one in the bedroom, which is just there. I've got one in the garage, and then I've got one in the fridge, one in the freezer. I have got the EcoFlow fridge in the garage, so I'm going to be putting one in there, and then I do want one just on the outside somewhere on the outside of the motorhome, so I can get an outside temperature. So you're probably thinking, well, why have you got the temperature sensors other than the fridge and the freezer, which makes sense? Why have you got the rest? Well, first off, it's nice to be able to see how hot or cold the motorhome is whilst being away from it. There's a few reasons, so I'm gonna have to go into this. With the Autotherm diesel heater, with the added modem, again, that doesn't need Wi-Fi, that just needs a SIM card in it, which is a prepaid SIM, and has an allowance on it. So I think it's like 10p a text or something. So I can text my Autotherm diesel heater and tell it to turn on, which is fantastic. So if I'm on the way back to the motorhome for, you know, we've been out for the night, we're doing whatever, I've been around the cathedral, been to a restaurant, I can check the temperature of my motorhome and go, oh, it's a bit chilly. It's getting to about 10 degrees. I can then text my Autotherm diesel heater to turn on and start pre-warming the motorhome for when I get home. How good's that? Again, this is a lot of convenience. Some would say lazy, but I think it's flipping brilliant, right? Who doesn't want to come home to a nice toasty, warm motorhome, right? Well, it doesn't even be a motorhome. Who doesn't want to come home to something nice and toasty and warm, right? I do. This guy, me. So that's what I've done it. Again, with all the other temperature sensors that are around here, I've set alarms. So if my motorhome gets to about 10 degrees, it will tell me that it's getting cold. Again, because then I can warm the motorhome up if and when I decide. Then you can also put these temperature sensors around like your water tank or around your pipes, and it could warn you. If it got to like 2 degrees, it could warn you, because you don't want frozen pipes, right? Me, I just like to know the temperature everywhere in my motorhome. So I know the temperature of my bedroom compared to my garage, which is quite nice to know. So right this minute, my living room is 20 degrees on the nose. My bathroom is 20 degrees, 20.7, because it's a smaller room. My bedroom, because I've got radiators either side of my bed, my bedroom is currently 24.3 degrees, and in the garage is a toasty 21. So again, I know how warm my garage is, so if I've got fishing gear in there or anything like that, I know it's not going to be cold and a bit wet and a bit, you know, moisture gathering in there. I can see a massive clear image of my motorhome. But there's more. What would you say if you could then use those temperature sensors to do automations on your motorhome if it got hot? You'd think, that's brilliant, right? Well, you can, and I have. Now, I've got 2 MaxxFans. I've got one here, and I've got one in the bathroom and the toilet. And you're thinking, well, yeah, they're great. I love a MaxxFan, so do I. But how do you control it? Well, with one of these, it's this box here. Is it that one there? No, it's this box here. This box here allows me to control this MaxxFan and the one, I've got another box here. I'll just show you that. So that box there allows me to control this MaxxFan. They're SwitchBot IR remotes. I'll put links to all this in the description below. Again, I bought all this because I want to make my motorhome fantastic, right? Now, let me show you on the SwitchBot app. So this is fan 2. So ready? We can go to fan 2. Now, you have to program these. So I've programmed mine to various different commands. So I have got all those commands, which is basically open, close, automatic 18 degrees, 30% out, 50% out, 80% out, 100% out, and then all of them in reverse but in. So 30, 40, 50, 70 and 100 in. So let's just say it's nice and hot and I want to cool the motorhome down because I know that room's getting hot because I've got the temperature sensors. Let's go 50% speed out, right? So I'll click this now. There we go. It seems as though I've got a leaf stuck in there at the moment because I can hear it clipping. But that is the fan now opening because of the remote. Now if I want to just close it, I can click close and then that fan will close. If that isn't enough, watch this. Alexa, turn MaxxFan 1 on. How good's that, right? Come on. You know you want it. You want to be able to control them, right? Alexa, turn MaxxFan 1 off. It gets better. It gets better. There's more. Now, because I've got the temperature sensors and I've got the IR remotes, they can work together because they're all SwitchBot. So in the app, I can set rules. So if the motorhome gets to 25 degrees, it will automatically tell fan 1 and fan 2 to turn on and extract. But also the app would alert me that it's at 25 degrees, right? So then I could go on my app and turn that fan on through my smart plug because it's warm and I want to blow the hot air around and get it out of the motorhome. Brilliant, right? Brilliant. Now, it goes the same way. If it was a hot day, but now I've been out all day, the fans are on, but now it's dropping down and it's like, you know, 15 degrees. The fans can turn themselves off when they reach a certain temperature as well. So again, they close, keeping it nice and warm, and it can alert me at all these temperatures. Come on, if you love tech and you just love automation and things like that and smart stuff, you're loving that, right? Come on, tell me, you are loving that. Not only can you control the MaxxFans from your phone anywhere as long as you've got a connection. But you can have them on automations, so if the motorhome gets hot, they do their thing. They do their thing. Now, you guys know I love my ice maker. Throughout the spring and summer, this thing is on all the time. I'm making ice day in, day out. Everyone laughs at me until there's a nice sunny day. Then they're all coming and going, Dad, you got any spare ice? Can I have some ice? I'd love a nice coffee. I'd love a nice drink. I've got a little cocktail I need some ice for. Yes, I've always got ice. Now, again, I want to be able to control the ice maker while I'm away from my home. Because if I'm out and about and it's like pedaling down with rain when I leave, but then it's turned into an absolute corker of a day when while I'm out and I want to get back, I want a basket of ice when I get back. That's not too much to ask, is it? Right? Now, I don't want it running all day, because why would I have turned it on in the morning when it's piddling down and it's cold? But you know the British weather, that changes at a drop of a hat. Pretty much like my brain. My brain's always racing around doing things. But I want to be able to control this from anywhere. Now, the problem I've got, you can't just turn it on. Normally this is on a smart plug, so I can turn the physical power connection on. And as you can see, the power is on from here, so that's fine. I can do that with a smart switch, with a smart plug. That's not a problem. But it's this button has to be pressed in order to turn the ice machine on. And that's where the robot finger comes in. Yes, I have stuck a robot finger, which is, you guessed it, Wi-Fi accessible from my phone. I'm going to show you. You watch this. Before I show you, I've got to say this isn't a SwitchBot robot finger, because their one just didn't work. It didn't stick well, and it didn't have the force it needed. So there are a few, but this one's by Mo's. Again, like I say, I'll leave everything below so you can follow me and do all this yourself. Now, here's the app. Oh, let's do it, shall we? Oh, it's a lovely sunny day out. Let's turn the ice machine on. There you go. The ice machine's on, starting to work. How good is that? Now, I'm going to turn it off, because there's no water in there, because I'm not using it at the moment. But how good is that? Being able to make ice from anywhere in the world. As long as there's water in there, I have a Wi-Fi connection, I'm golden. Yes! Just as a side note, you can even put it on a schedule. So you think, yeah, start making ice at like 6 o'clock in the evening if you really wanted to. I'll be back for 7, and then I'll have a nice bucket of ice. Now, the automations and alerts don't stop there. We need to go outside for this one. You guys know I've got Vanguardian, which is a fantastic system. I've got it all around my motorhome, and I'm using it a lot, and I love it. I really do. It's a really good system. But in the greatest respect, it's dumb. As in, it has no external functionality. You can't talk to it. It can't alert you. It just screams its nuts off, which is what you want it to do when a bad guy comes and tries to touch your motorhome. Now, I'm led to believe Vanguardian are working on something for this year to do something, but I wanted to do something right here, right now. Of course I did. Now, I want to know if someone's touched the motorhome while I'm away from it, and I want to know straight away. Now, how can I do that? This is how. Because there's no point having an alarm system, right, if you then don't get alerted. Is that just me? If someone comes along, and I've got one here on the door, if someone comes along and they start going for it, and then it springs into action, I then want to know that it's triggered, right? Because then I can have a look on my cameras, because I've got blink cameras all around. I can have a look at my cameras and go, it was no one, they bumped into it accidentally, or there's nothing happening. Because I've got cameras inside, I've got cameras outside, so I can check all the cameras and see if anyone's doing anything. And then I can react like a ninja and then start shouting, get away from my motorhome. But I need to be alerted, right? So how have I done it? I needed something that would alert me to sound, because obviously when the Vanguardian goes off, it screams, which is fantastic. I love it, and it's doing its job. So when it I need something that when it hears a big noise, it then alerts my phone. Couldn't really find a standalone noise alerter. Well, I don't know what that even is, but couldn't find one. They might be out there, but I just couldn't find what it was. So I ended up going with one of these, which is, I'm going to say the name wrong, but it's a EUFI, EUFY camera, a EUFI camera. They're about 20, 25 pounds. Obviously this is a camera, so you can see through it with your Wi-Fi connection. It has got an SD card in there, so whatever it sees on movement, it will record, or when it hears something, it will record that. And it's a pretty good camera, to be fair. The actual vision that you see is really quite good. There you go. You can hear me twice. Right, so I've muted it so you can see it really is a good picture you get. But that wasn't what I wanted it for. I wanted it to alert me with noise. So let's test it out, shall we? Okay, now I don't really want to annoy people because I am on a campsite, but we're going to do it really quick. All I'm going to do is I'm not going to set the Vanguardian and then trigger it. I'm just going to press the alarm button so it makes a big racket, and then I'll quickly turn it off. But then you'll see my phone react pretty instantly. Right, I'm pressing the button now. Boom, straight away. So now it says living room sound detected. How good is that? So now I can jump straight on my phone, have a little look and see, is there a burglar? And I can then act like a ninja, jump into action and go save my motorhome. But how good was that? Instant, right? Literally, as soon as it hears a noise, it triggers. Now, there has been a couple of times that it has set off, like I've had a motorbike go past and triggered one of the alarms, like because it's parked next to the road, and because their exhaust has got a lot of vibration, it set one of them off, and then it told me that there's a noise. But it alerted me straight away whilst I was at the shop, and then I can quickly go on and have a look and then realise that it wasn't anything bad. It's recorded it on the device, so I can see it, I can hear that it was a motorbike going vroom. Great impression, Daz, great impression. But that has now made Vanguardian smart. You are welcome. Now, not only does it work for, that'll probably make the noise. There you go, because I closed the door, it registered the noise. So you're going to have to turn your notifications on and off because you don't want to be pinged all the time. Like I'm going to be here talking to you right now. It will then probably say when I laugh or something, it will then thingy. So you can, on the iPhone, you can just click mute for an hour and they're good to go. But there is an added bonus to this little setup and system that I didn't know and figure out at the time, but I've realised that it could be used for the smoke alarm. Now, as you can see up here, I've got my smoke alarm and my carbon monoxide detector. Now, if, God forbid, that went off, that would start screaming and it would tell me that there's a problem, there's smoke, there's a fire, or whatever's happening at the motorhome, because that makes a racket, which would then trigger my alarm and tell me that there's sound in the motorhome. I could then look and then I could then figure out something and try and think. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be able to rush back. If the motorhome was on fire, that wherever I am, unless I'm 3 feet away, which I'd probably see it, I'm probably not going to get back quick enough. But I could maybe, I'm not just saying willy-nilly do this, but I could, if I did see that it was like smoking or there was fire or there was some hazard, I could maybe call 999 for the fire brigade to come and maybe try and save the motorhome in time. But that was just an added thing that I didn't think of that it could be used for. Now, I did make a bold claim at the very start of this video saying my motorhome is smarter than your motorhome, camper van or caravan, and I think I've proved that, right? Clearly, mine's, you know, NASA level, Mensa level intelligence. That statement alone probably shows the level of my intelligence. But it's fair to say my motorhome is pretty smart. We've got automations coming out of the wazoo. I can control pretty much everything from my phone whilst being away from the motorhome. Now, like I do say, this all does depend on Wi-Fi, so you do need a Wi-Fi connection. Some of these other things I have got in here, I have got a Cerbo for, so I've got my Victron Multi Plus and I've got my Cerbo, so I can access that. I can turn my inverter on via the Cerbo, and then I can then use all the smart plugs. I can turn my ice maker on, I can do the fridge, I can charge my power banks while I'm here out and about, I can put the fans on, all this and that. All really good stuff. I can even turn my Starlink on from the Cerbo. I haven't really gone into that because, I mean, it is a smart automation, to be fair. I can turn it on and I can have it running on automated time, so it turns on for an hour at certain times. So I've always got internet connection if I was in a bit of a dead spot. So I could, in theory, set it up so it would turn on at, say, between 1 and 2 o'clock every day. So even if I was out, or I was on holiday and I left the motorhome and I was in a bad signal area and my SIM cards weren't getting any signal, I know that at 1 o'clock the Starlink's going to boot and it will then have power and have connection, and then I could dial in that way, because the motorhome should all have internet. Now, I was recently talking to Gadget John, and he's trying out some 12 volt smart 12 volt connectors. So basically, whatever's USB, you plug one end into the power source and the other end gets plugged into the actual device, and then that is Wi-Fi connected, and again it works with the Alexa. So I'm going to be getting some of them, because why not? I mean, I've got 12 volt stuff everywhere. I want to be able to control that as well. Now, have I gone too far? Have I not gone far enough? What else can I make smart in my motorhome? Have you got any smart modifications or automations or accesses from your phone and the internet and around the world in your motorhome or camper van? Because I would love to know. I really want to be able to make this smart. I just love it. I love doing these things and being able to be away from the motorhome whilst I'm with all my mates and like, oh yeah, I'm just going to turn the ice maker on, you know, done. they all look at me and they're like, knobhead. They honestly look at me, they call me a knobhead, but they'll be the first to have some ice with their Pepsi Max Cherry. If they ain't having a Pepsi Max Cherry, they ain't having ice. I will not chill that pig swill Coke Zero. Anyway, if you've got any questions about this setup, then please do drop them in the comment section below. I'm not an expert and none of this is sponsored. I've just put it together slowly over time, but I will try and answer any questions you have, because I want everyone to do these setups, because it's brilliant being able to be away from it and being able to go, yep, ice is going to be done, yep, motorhome's chilling, yep, or motorhome's going to be lovely and toasty by the time I get back, and I know it's exactly 14 degrees right now. Have you got any hints, tips or tricks? Drop them in the comments below. And like I said, my motorhome is smarter than yours. And that's a fact. Catch you guys in the next one.